We are on a 5-day hike through the Yosemite National Park and will be passing the magnificent Wapana Falls later this morning.
It is so exhilarating to walk through this forest enjoying the sounds of nature that surround us. It is our feet that suffer the most, so every evening we go through the massage session to keep us going. But the pain we suffer is worth it.
The view over the valley is absolutely stunning, and with the clean, fresh air we can see for miles.
Paul has sprained his foot and is in a great deal of pain. How are we going to get him back to our vehicles?
Last week, I came across this guy Kagi, and he was talking about being prepared for our adventures. Guess I should have listened and joined his webinar.
You may well climb to the highest point in our vicinity, but I doubt that you will get a signal on your phone to call for assistance.
At first glance, when comparing the situation with that of hunting adventure out of Fairbanks, I would probably think that we are engaging on a hike in a state park that is situated relatively close to civilization. There is a great deal of activity, and we are unlikely to find ourselves in a place I describe as where no man's gone before. You may well be forgiven for thinking that, but think back to my definition of such a place. It is true that the trails are clearly marked, and besides, there are regular hiking groups that pass through the area. What could possibly go wrong? Maybe sometimes we spot something interesting, and so we want to take a closer look. So we climb down into a ravine or valley, and there spot a beautiful camping opportunity, and decide to spend the night. You're not really breaking the rules, are you? And besides, how could they possibly have missed marking this beautiful spot as a camping area? During the hours that follow, you become disorientated, and in the morning you take off in the wrong direction. And as you move further and further away from clearly marked trails, your anxiety begins to mount, because you cannot find any of the trail markings. Pleasure and enjoyment can so easily and quickly turn to fear and concern when our friend Murphy puts in an appearance.
We are on a 5-day hike through the Yosemite National Park and will be passing the magnificent Wapana Falls later this morning.
So as you find yourself in a place where no man's gone before, your perspective suddenly changes. On a 5-day hike, for example, you can find yourself 2 days walk away from your vehicle or ranger station. And so it remains important to appoint a family coordinator who has your back and checks up on you for just in case something goes wrong and you don't arrive back at your vehicle and ranger station as planned. It may very well be that you don't wish to impose on others when undertaking such an adventure, but believe me that when something goes wrong, you will realize the importance of such precaution. Please take my advice seriously when undertaking any adventure to ensure that your family and friends can rather attend a welcome home party than to attend a funeral.
It is so exhilarating to walk through this forest enjoying the sounds of nature that surround us.
Always remember to take along an independent source for charging your devices while on your adventure. Even when it is freezing cold, the sun can charge your devices using a solar panel. Remember that devices include sources of light you might need during the night when an unwelcome visitor puts in an appearance, let alone when you need to do something. Don't only rely on your power pack to keep you powered up. When it comes to navigation, it is important to have as many backup options as possible, as it is a critical element if you wish to stay alive on your adventure. If you have no idea in which direction you should move, then the danger is that you begin moving in circles and getting nowhere. Don't rely solely on the map on a single device, as devices, rare as it might be, can sometimes fail. Ensure all members of your group have downloaded the map of your area of operation, including, where available, a topographical map of the area you are hiking in, as would be the case with Yosemite. Although you are in a popular tourist destination, it remains a good idea to have a GPS with you, on which you have clearly marked all places of interest, both within Yosemite itself, but also bordering the state park. So when something goes wrong, you can head directly to the nearest point of support and assistance, if it is a matter of life or death, even if you have to break park rules to do so. Never forget that you only have that one life, and you need to protect that at all costs. Fairbanks hunting adventure, this remains true wherever you find yourself, especially if stretching the rules and camping at a location where no ablution facilities are provided. When members of your group leave the confines of your camp to attend to their private ablutions, they need to take with them not only their phone, but also a two-way radio for emergency communication. When in a strange and unfamiliar environment, It is so easy to become disorientated and possibly begin returning to camp in an incorrect direction and thereby becoming lost. Always remember that you are in a wildlife area and that meeting up with a wild animal can become a serious challenge, especially when on foot, and you cannot call on other members of your group for support. Check with the office or park ranger the locations on your hike where cell phone communications may be possible. Record such locations on your GPS and use them to regularly update your coordinator on your current location and progress. Even if you just send him your location, which carries a date and time reference stamp.
It is our feet that suffer the most, so every evening we go through the massage session to keep us going. But the pain we suffer is worth it.
When it comes to health issues, this is always important on any kind of adventure and wherever you might be going. So forgive me for repeating this important information. Know the health history of all participants in your group. Consult a doctor in case of specific needs and request a recommendation based on his experience and suitability of such participant joining your group. Chat to a paramedic or a doctor in compiling a list of emergency medication or equipment you should take with you. Do not overlook researching the types of snakes, insects, or other creatures, and ensure you carry the correct antivenom or medication. Know how to apply such treatment or procedure. Potable water is an essential commodity you cannot survive without. In the case of Yosemite, in this example, check with the park rangers as to the safety of drinking the water from the rivers and streams, which in most seasons abound at this location. Be advised to always take precautions of boiling or purifying the water you plan to drink. And remember that when climbing to some of the high mountains in the park, that water may not always be readily available when at the top, at a time you probably need it most. Never allow yourself to become dehydrated when relying on your own stamina and fitness. When on foot and in a hiking situation, you still need to plan carefully when it comes to which tools and equipment you take with you. Clearly, when hiking, weight is an important consideration, and your requirement for tools and equipment are very different from when on a driving adventure. Nothing worse than having a bottle of wine with you, but find you don't have a corkscrew to open it, or tins of food which you cannot open because no one has brought a can opener. All sound so logical, but you have to go through the process to ensure that you have what you need. In most cases for hiking, it is a good idea for each participant to take a multi-tool for their personal needs. But when it comes to bigger items, such as tents, axes, spades, cane knives, etc., you should agree who brings what and avoid too much duplication on these heavier items. Ensure that the weight carried by your group is evenly divided between participants and always as light a weight as possible. Participants may be comfortable carrying a 100-pound backpack at the outset. But what is more important is how they will feel after 3 or 4 hours of hiking. Clothing is also extremely important in whatever adventure you are participating in. Always remember that there could be members of your party for whom this is the first time experience, and they pack gear they don't actually need, but have to carry once they embark on this adventure. Make sure you only take along clothing which is suitable for the environment that you're visiting. Avoid taking items such as high heels, suits, etc. Ensure that what you take is comfortable to wear and suitable for the temperatures that you will experience.
The view over the valley is absolutely stunning, and with the clean, fresh air we can see for miles.
When it comes to hiking adventures, fitness plays a major role. Plan and prepare well in advance so that participants can train beforehand to ensure that they are not a handbrake to others. You need to accept that the pace of your progress is determined by the slowest member of your group. Keep together and stay together, especially if there are wild animals about. Plan carefully when it comes to essentials, which you need to take with you. Always take more than you actually think you're going to need, especially when it comes to the smaller and lighter items, which you cannot do without, such as matches, batteries, propane, etc. Your objective when using any essential supplies should always be to conserve those resources as best possible to ensure that they will last for the duration of your adventure.
Paul has sprained his foot and is in a great deal of pain. How are we going to get him back to our vehicles?
Last week, I came across this guy, Ask Hoggy, and he was talking about being prepared for our adventures. Guess I should have listened and joined his webinar.
You may well climb to the highest point in our vicinity, but I doubt that you will get a signal on your phone to call for assistance.
The main objective of your adventure should be to ensure that you stay alive and return safely to your family and loved ones, always ready and prepared for your next adventure. We should never embark on an adventure without taking the utmost care in our research and planning to give us the best possible chance of survival. There are so many things that can go wrong on such adventures when Murphy throws us a curved ball, and we must therefore always strive to have a Plan B strategy in mind for when it happens.